to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk.
Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk with your host, Pariah Sinclair. On this podcast, I talk to a variety of queer icons, notable queer people that are doing amazing things in their cities. On this episode, I am very, very excited. We have a viral sensation. We have a Philly legend. Give it up and put your hands together for the one and only Little Peace. Brr, 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 brr.
Hello, how are you doing today, Jasmine? Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Pariah, for having me today on this podcast today. My name is Little Peace. I'm here. You know me if you're listening. I hope you know. If you don't, my name is Little Peace. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You can follow me on Instagram at Little Dick Legend. That's LITTLEDICK Legend. And on Twitter at LILDICK Legend due to character constraints. And clearly, I don't have many of those. I love saying that now.
I love that you plug it right out the gate. That makes it easy for me. So we'll replug. Yes.
When I first started coming out in drag, that was something I did. That was like, I introduced myself to people when I'd go to shows in drag. And I know it's not cute to call a fat girl brave, but I really would just go up to queens and say, hi, my name's Little Pete. I follow you on Instagram. My handle is Little Dick Legend, LITTLEDICK Legend. And but like that kind of tenacity, like really, I think caught people's attention. That kind of like catchphraseitude caught people's attention. And I know like 6 months into me doing drag, I got this critique at an amateur drag night that was like, this is why you're on the tip of everyone's tongues. And I was like, oh, true. Like, okay, slay the world. Like,
no, I say this, not anyone, but drag queens, like dancing and performing, amazing. But if you can talk, if you know how to talk and articulate, especially when you have a microphone in your hand, but you can do anything. Yeah, if you know how to talk to people and network and command an audience, but you can do anything.
The world is your oyster. I mean, truly. Yeah. I would say, well, I mean, it depends on who is seeing you showcase these talents. I think who wants to help you kind of hone them. My energy, my charisma, uniqueness, nervousness, and talent have really make you stand out. Really make people want to listen to you.
Anyway. How are we doing in this moment on this Sunday, Easter Sunday? We're recording. How are we doing?
It is as of today. It is Easter Sunday on Should You Observe in April 2022, baby. But I'm doing okay. This is, I think, the first year I'm actively like, no, I'm not going to our cousin's house, Dad. Like, one of them refuses to get vaccinated. I'm not going there. I don't talk to them. They are not my family. I don't know why you think I want to go there. So that's kind of cool for me. I did have some sleep issues last night. So I'm a little less rested than I typically am on a beautiful Sunday morning. Otherwise, thank you for meeting me in the morning, by the way. I love the morning.
I do not, but I gotta make it work. And honestly, it's 11 a.m. It's barely the morning. I'm fine. I'm up. I took a shower. I'm clean.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't really like to use cleaning whites. It's a little problematic, but
shut the fuck up.
I try to tell the girls not to use clean.
I soaped my body.
Okay. I very much am washed, wet, and dried.
Yes, I put Lush. So I forgot the fragrance or the smell, but I put Lush soap on my body, and I washed and lathered and rinsed, repeated my body.
I love a brand loyal diva. That's really cute.
I'm very, very brand loyal to Lush. So long story short, I used to work for Lush,
Lush story short, yeah.
Yes, for a season. Best customer service job I ever had.
Interesting.
Like, I swear to God, like, Lush is an amazing company, and I am not sponsored by them, but they are amazing. And they're very I don't know, like when it comes to someone that's like obviously a corporate chain, whatever, they're very they're about their shit. They're not on social media anymore. Like they're like protesting.
Oh, they're taking a break.
Yeah, they're like protesting, like Zuckerberg or something.
The algorithm. Yeah.
The algorithm.
I do it all the time, just by existing.
Exactly. So yeah, they're very just like a, and plus they're so, anyway, yeah, Lush is amazing, and I am very clean and lovely right now.
Slurp, slurp, slurp. Yes. Love to hear it. Love to see it.
Yes. So actually, I have a question. So do you go by Little Peace or Little Dick Legend? Like
I go by Little Piece. The brand is kind of like is Little Dick Legend. Just before, so I started like went out to a couple amateur nights in like right before I turned 21 with a guardian, with a like it wasn't my dad, but it was my dad's girlfriend, and she would call me her stepson. And let me tell you right now, everybody, that is not what I am to anybody. Okay, if anything, you are calling me stepchild or stepdaughter, but
hello.
okay, it's going very step she they. Um, anyway, she did help me go to a couple of amateur nights. And I realized kind of before then, I think my Instagram handle was like sexy little piece. And because I had gotten the name Little Piece from my friend who was hooking up with this guy who was just really infantilizing her. And he called her a sexy little piece. And I was like, baby, that's my drag name now. Sorry to take it from you, little girl. And that was my drag name. And then I was walking to work. I worked at this awful chain at the time, and I just had the idea to change it. I was like, this is so iconic. This is gonna be my brand. This is gonna be my everything. It really was like I was just walking to work, like, oh, I'm changing my Instagram handle to Little Dick Legend. Like, this is it. It's happening. Like,
I love it. No,
yeah,
yeah, because I think, yeah, it's obviously, I guess, ear catching. It's something
yeah.
like
It
people
sticks
don't,
in your head. There's
yeah,
alliteration, kind of. It's really, oh, there is Little Dick Legend. It has a flow to the tongue. When you spell it out, people can really catch on to it. It's a really fun thing for me to do with the audience at my shows. I can say, like, okay, like, my name is Little Piece. You can follow me on Instagram at Little Dick Legend. That's LITTLEDICK. What? Legend. When there's people who know me in the room now, they'll do
yeah,
it. You know what I mean? They'll say it, and it's really fun. And that's a big part of my drag, is kind of like making the audience members feel like they're kind of like in on this joke with me, or they are like my friend. Because in a way, I mean, they're all following me on my journey. They're all following me on this ride, even before MTCS. This was really the behavior I was exhibiting. I know, and you can ask people, like, that's specifically like there's one girl, Avery Goodname, in the city, who is just, I don't know if you've heard of her yet, but she is on the rise, mama. Coming to eat Philadelphia up alive. And we got very close, I'd say, pretty recently, or maybe last season. I really understood how tight we were becoming as friends. She was like, yeah, I see like the way you talk to an audience. And I do this thing, I call it my Work the Room tour before every show. And I go and I try to talk to as many people in the audience as I can before a show begins. So I try to be at shows early, like even if I'm not hosting them, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Say, hey, like I'm in the show, whether I'm in my walk around or not. Okay. Like, my name is Little Piece. What's your name? What's your sign? Like, one, it makes people want to tip you more. But two, like, that is what I think drag is about. I think drag is about community. I think drag is about supporting each other, as queer people. Yeah, it's like what I have always kind of carried myself, especially once I started coming out on the town, which I literally started coming out in or out of drag. Like, as soon as I turned 21, I was like, I'm going to see as much drag as I can. I'm going to attend as many shows as I can. I'm going to really make sure that I am entering the scene accordingly. It's kind of just like what my drag is about, I think, is like interaction and togetherness, while really just making me the star. It's very interesting. I don't really know how to describe it.
No,
Well,
but
I guess I can. The 3-word question is coming up right now.
I know what you mean, though. And I think that's honestly great advice for really any entertainer, any performer that wants to not even drag, but just like want to do nightlife or performing, entertaining. Like, a big part of it is like audience interaction, getting to know people outside of you being on the stage. And because I think not a lot, but some entertainers, they think, okay, my job is just to come out, go on the stage, and then leave.
Well, and I think that is some people's entertainer, like some people's jobs. Like, that's the way it is. Like, drag is not the same for everyone.
That's
No
true.
one does drag for the exact same reason. No one's doing the exact same drag. And like the experience that you have, like when you're like, I know girls who, when they're going out in drag, they're going out in drag to be their drag character, to look very cunt and beautiful, be the doll for the night, and
Yes.
go home, you know? Like they're not interested in kind of all of that. They're not interested in that kind of platforming and that kind of, I think, responsibility that comes with the interaction and the like placing yourself in a leadership role, which I think if you're putting a mic in your hand or asking someone to put a mic in your hand in front of a audience, especially an inebriated audience, queer audience, when you know what I mean, like you're putting yourself in a leadership position.
Totally. Yeah. And I totally get that. But my opinion, I do think at the very least, you don't have to go out before the show, especially if you know you want to
Oh
like
yeah.
you want to give the surprise, illusion, all that.
Yeah.
But I do, as a respect thing, I think it's
Mhm.
great to like you finish performing, go out, and then for like, I don't know, a couple minutes, say thank you to everybody.
Oh yeah. Well, I learned this thing pretty
Yeah.
early that I started implementing more and more as I became, I think maybe some people might be rolling their eyes when they're listening to this, but more established in the Philadelphia scene. And it was taught to me by this performer who is not really worth mentioning on this podcast. But well, you do this thing where, or I do this thing now where I will just like, yeah, I will lip sync my track, or I will be doing whatever I'm doing. But if I see someone tipping me, I will break. I will look at them in their eyes and I will lip sync or say thank you just
Yeah.
instead. And I think that means so much to them. And it really does like get the message across that that is what it means to me. Like every time I've gotten a message, especially recently since, you know, the virality of like MTCS and these videos and just my show's starting to get bigger and more well attended, which has been nice. Like every time someone has been sharing with me like how much my work means to them or how much who I am means to them, or even just telling me that they had a good time with me or when they watched something of mine or when they engaged with something of mine, that means so much to me. Like it's like this little like jump start on my heart. It makes me so happy and also sad at the same time. It's been very interesting. It's like this kind of like, I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I understand because I definitely I get messages as well, and I like even like when I'm out, people come up to me, and like I even because like at a local level, like when you're people that attend our shows and that follow us on Instagram, they have a connection to us. So what you know when they're able to get like a one-on-one moment with us, it's definitely something special.
Yeah, it feels amazing on Twitter, especially. And I noticed it when I was like after like, okay, again, 2 weeks, like in December when I went to Chicago and I was saying that to all these people, like I was meeting all these people who I, you know, idolize. I look up to their presence on the internet. I look up to the local work I can just tell that they're doing from their presence. And I was like, you don't know how much you inspire me and the people in my city. And you know, you can tell that it meant something to them because it meant so much to me too as well. It is the work. This is the work. Tell people that you appreciate them. You know what I mean? Like tell anyone that you love them. Tell anyone you care about that you care about them. Compliment people when you have a good thought about them. You know what I mean? Because there is no reason not to.
That sounds like a very much like at the end of a brunch. You know how people want like I want to cap a brunch off. That's a good like word. That's a good affirmation at the end. Like just tell people you love them, compliment them, because that radiates and that you know that goes
Well,
on.
it's true. It's true. You know, and that's something like when again, I know I said it earlier. Like when I first started doing drag, I was very much about like my mindfulness and like I was really trying to stay kind of aware and with myself wherever I was. And so that's what I did. You know what I mean? Like I would put people on my Instagram story. I would talk really nicely about them. I would tell people I like them to their face. I would compliment people to their face. And I didn't realize that that was at the time so rare in Philadelphia and in Philadelphia nightlife. And I guess maybe nightlife in general, but there was this culture that, or I think it still exists in the scene here of kind of just this fake attitude, everyone kind of wanting something from you, or just like people, like the expectation that someone is not genuine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So when I was coming out and I was being very genuine and very raw, not just like when I was seeing people, but also on my Instagram story. Like, I don't know how have you found me only recently? I don't remember. Or you knew me on Twitter for a while.
So yeah, I knew you from Instagram, Twitter, through like the Philly drag scene. Like I know because I know we have the same people that we know. So like I knew through that and Facebook because y'all Philly dolls on Facebook are wild. So
I wouldn't say I am the
you're
wild
not.
Facebook
You're
Philly
not.
doll.
You're
Nobody
not.
engages with my Facebook comment. I literally go on Facebook to like type something cryptic, leave a picture,
Yeah.
and go.
Like you're not, but
I
like yeah, but people have tagged you, but like the people that tag you or like go to your events, they're wild. So like you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, I would say yeah. I mean, Philly, Jersey, Delco drag Facebook is really something else.
They give no fucks, bitch. They will tag a bitch.
Well, no, they give every single little fuck, and that's the issue. They really just could not be bothered to listen to other people and mind their business. Treat some people with respect.
That's also very true.
Specifically the most marginalized people in our community.
Girl, yeah, but it's just Philly drag is very entertaining, specifically on like Facebook.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think Philly drag is extremely, I mean, that's if you're kind of like wanting to see some sort of like sad cringe like homosexual Real Housewife shit. Yeah. Friend Philly people, don't friend Philly people, friend like I'm not, honestly, it's not even worth it. I would stick to Twitter and Instagram if you want to see people's video and picture content. Go on their Instagrams.
Yeah.
Philly drag. And I highly recommend if you're looking to learn more about the Philadelphia drag scene, what it's like, what kind of our behaviors are like, what kind of like the vibes always are. Look at people I'm engaging with a lot. Look at people who are in my mentions. Like a lot of the friends that I have, we are leaders in the scene locally. We are setting the tone, I think, of how to behave. Yeah. And we're funny. We're stunning. Yes. We are like, we're sickening and we're cunts, and we know what's up. Like, yes. You know what I mean? You see us like talking our shit on Twitter.
Yeah. So I will mention a couple of that. So the three I've had three. And what? I've had three Philly dolls on the podcast: Eric Joffe, Vinchelle, and Icon Ebony Fierce.
Oh, so you've had two dolls because Vinchelle's a man out of drag. Don't get it twisted. Oh! This is man. But that's I know what you mean. Just say, yeah.
And two dolls and a drag queen, and then someone who I want to have on the podcast and I love, Miss Peaches. She's amazing.
Oh, I would bring her on. She's everything.
You two had a show a couple of days
just before. 2 days ago, yeah. And I wanted to talk about that. There was something in my notes, I think, actually.
Yes, we will get to that. But,
okay.
Yeah. So I asked this to everyone on the podcast. How would you describe your drag, your persona, in a few words?
Oh, I wrote this down. Hold on. Let me make you unfull screened again. This is going to get in the way. I knew this was going to come because so I asked on Facebook to see if anyone would see it, how people would describe it. And it was the people who did respond and the people who did text me, like, told me what I wanted to hear. And I would say like 3 words I could use are like cringe, cunt, and showgirl. There is like at my core, I love things that make me cringe. I love to be cringy. There's a kind of like lack of awareness that is so freeing that I see when I cringe at something, like in whatever I'm looking at or whatever I'm experiencing. And that kind of like detachment and absolute like chaos really gets me going. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's something about someone that reminds you of how awkward and weird you were when you were like 12. That makes me be like, me AF. And it's someone like barely lip syncing correctly to a TikTok audio, like with 5 filters on.
That's why I can't do TikTok. I mean, I love TikTok, but like a lot of that, that's one of my criticisms of the app.
One of everybody's many. Cunt, I would say, is a huge part of my drag, which is kind of just, I mean, like the severity of it. You know what I mean? Like kind of, I've been told, and this was kind of like heartbreaking because it was quite an amazing compliment, but it was also just, it made me think of or rethink about kind of how I appear and how I kind of stand when I'm somewhere. But someone who was attending like every week at Snatcherella 3000 during my cycle, I'm sure they're probably still there. Every week I go to Snatcherella 3000 cyclical competition on Wednesdays at Frankie Bradley's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Doors at 8, shows at 9. I if you are looking to get a like healthy taste of what drag is and nightlife performance and nightlife personality like in action, I highly recommend on a Wednesday night going to Philadelphia,
Yes.
Pennsylvania for Frankie Bradley's Natural 2000.
Yes, my
We're currently in cycle 3. If this comes out in early May,
yeah,
cycle 3 will have just finished.
yes, yeah. My good Judy Ave Blue competed.
Oh, I love Ave. It was very
Yeah.
exciting for me to see Ave in the cast. Ave was someone I really was hoping would be in the show or being in the competition this cycle. But okay, so for what someone who can cycle 2 was telling me that it almost felt like, and I did not, I would say I didn't perform very well throughout the competition. Like, I think I did really cool stuff for me. I did really especially my first 2 weeks, I started off so strong. But someone said to me, like, watching you at Central every week, it felt like you were more of a guest than a competitor. I think I'm just not a very competitive person. And even when I was getting my critiques, I really treated it like it was a workshop more than anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's still how I view it. And it's how I talk to people about it when they ask me about applying. It's like, it's a 10-week competition that really feels like it's extremely fast paced, and it's a lot, especially this cycle. I mean, the amount of talent that's been on that stage recently, the level of show that has been put on is like changing the standards of drag here in Philadelphia. Like, we have an amazing amount of talent, an absurd amount of talent, like this otherworldly amount of talent here and personality to share. Honestly, though, because for so long, our audience, the audience here was never willing to come to our shows and tip us. And recently, especially, flooding out people. It's a bit this new Gen Z, the Gen Z between the ages of 21 and 24 right now really want to see drag, and that's great. It makes me so happy to see. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah,
they want to support drag too.
Yeah, I really love the Philly drag scene. Y'all are definitely are on another level. Like, when it comes to creativity, like what I've seen in just the different shows I've been to or seen on through Instagram and Facebook. Like, majority of y'all are your own drag characters.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're just working. I think everyone here is working as hard as they can to be authentic and even taking that authenticity and applying it in a unique and creative way to anything. And yeah, and that's how cunt goes into my drag. Showgirl goes into my drag in the traditional sense of, a trans woman in drag, being beautiful and stunning and doing a song straight through. But that really takes me to this point that my friend the Moon Baby made once to me and a friend, described being a showgirl as this girl who can just do a straight through song, doesn't need a concept, doesn't need any kind of shows, any kind of stunts, I don't know how to really say it. There isn't kind of a word for it.
I know what you're saying though, because I was just in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that is
well, that's Showgirl Central. I don't mean it like that.
But that's
a girl who does drag because that is just what she is best at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do think drag is performance, entertainment, drag, music. I think it's what I'm meant to do. I think it's always what I've been meant to do. I feel like everything in my life has always been pushing me towards this. Showgirl as in I love a bitch who everyone at the bar knows her name. Mm-hmm. She just gets to perform. I don't really, in my experience, those girls tend to be a little more problematic. So I've had to distance myself or forcefully distance myself from many of them. I would like to be the showgirl I want to see in the world and kind of just do my thing in a way that is accessible and warm and loving and severe and sexy and you know what I mean? Yeah. And just be able to perform Call Me Maybe very slowly, walking around, just looking at people's eyes, thanking them and taking my tips. That's what a showgirl is to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally, yeah. I'm saying I totally understand.
No, I know. Yeah, it's if you know exactly what I'm talking about.
There are a handful of people that are just made to do drag, that are just born to do drag, walking on stage, especially not just in South Florida, but South Florida, there are a handful of those girls that they walk out on stage, and because there is this sickening entertainer and TV personality, Nicki Monet. You know who that is, Nicki Monet?
Maybe I do. Now it's in my head.
Anyway, she was on Slag Wars. She was on the show.
Oh yeah, never mind.
She walked out on stage when I was in Florida at the show and did Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. She stayed on the stage the whole time.
Yeah.
and just commanded everyone's attention.
Yeah, there's a certain like aura,
Yeah.
a certain energy when you're just that girl. And I feel like that's a big part of being me, is being that girl. Not to sound too kind.
No, but I know what you mean. I think
Well, and that's also like kind of how I want people to feel when they're quoting me, or even when they're watching my stuff and what I say. I want them to feel like there's something that they can relate to in me. I want them to feel like there's something that they could critique about me, and I want them to think that there's something that they could aspire to be in me. I want to be able to be myself and have that be enough.
I love
And I
that.
think that's something a lot of queer people want. And I know that online I can do that for people, and on stage I can do that for people. And that's what I've kind of learned through drag.
I love that. So I kind of want to go to I want to talk about how you kind of got your viral internet presence.
Okay.
By being in alleyways.
Yes, the alleyway
girl being pretty much naked, like not fully naked, but mama, it's
giving nudity. The nips slip. Absolutely.
It's hanging out.
Okay, so
so how did that begin? Let's go to the.
How did that begin? I mean, taking it all the way back, I was always, and I will always be saying this. I was a girl who did weird internet stuff before a lot of people I knew IRL were doing weird internet stuff. I remember specifically, I was listening to someone's podcast, and it was like a queen who was from this area, which I thought was so funny, saying yeah, I book girls who don't do weird shit on the internet. And I was like, okay, that's weird. That is weird that you would even think that. There's there's a lack of awareness there that is not cringe. It's just unsettling. It's very sad. So I was always kind of just doing my thing, being very me. And then I moved in with I have two roommates right now, but this one drag queen who is also my landlord, Biddy B, who is currently with Avery Goodname and Luna the Jarnette Fierce, the front running top three of the competition. We're going to the current cycle, whatever. This is not me. Sorry. I love Philly drag. I really love Philly drag. I will take any opportunity to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm especially proud of where we're going and what we've been doing here. I moved in with her, and we've got this we live kind of in this collection of in our block. It's a lot of buildings that, we all throw our trash away in the same alleyway. It's there's some restaurants, because there's 3 restaurants or there's 4 all around us. But in this alleyway where people throw their trash away, we can access it from the back of the house. We can also access it from the front. I don't know. I think my roommate hadn't had the idea to take pictures there or videos there yet before I moved in. When was the first time I did it? I think it was a Monday night, and I needed to get in drag. I hadn't gotten in drag for a while, and I hadn't really figured out what my next thing was for drag for what I was posting either. As I moved, as things changed, I would often I would start every video with the same phrases. I'd always kind of say the same, I'd always have some little things that I'd hit on every time, which is great. And Peace Corps members, peacekeepers of an earlier date really do know those references, which is great. I love it when people still will talk to me about them or bring them up to me, even if I don't use them as much anymore. But I said okay, well, let me go in the alleyway and let me just try something. You know what I mean? Taking nod from, we look at Bailey J. Mills, doing what Bailey is doing. That's definitely different from what I am doing. But if I'm okay, this is something I know people are engaging with, this is something I know I can do, let me figure out a way to be on video my way. You know what I mean? Let me take this, a little bit further than however I've been doing it before, a little more immersive. I have this time. It's an excuse to get in drag. It's an excuse to take pictures and feel better about myself. And that is what I did. And that kind of, in that first video, I was in a red bra, red panty, red wig. I had a little Pokeball Go Plus keychain pedometer on, and some red heels. I talked about pissing in the alleyway, and that was the first. That's for right now. It's not archived on my Instagram, and you can go back and find it. And I posted it on Twitter, and I posted it on Instagram the next day. And then that kind of started this thing where I would record a video and post it on Twitter the next day. or record a video, post it on Twitter, and the next day, blah, blah, blah. And people in Philly were quoting them from the first one, which I found out later. Like I found out that like my friends were quoting me when I wasn't even there, when I wasn't even at something. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. Like, and then I found out it wasn't even just my friends who were doing that. And I was like, oh, like what is happening here? This is very interesting. And it was as I was entering this new, like this summer, I kind of learned more about what is successful in my performances. And it really is just bringing me into it more, not bringing my voice, bringing things that I enjoy into it, which is, I guess that rings true for all kind of drag, but I didn't realize how unique I was. I know.
Girl, bitch, so I believe were you dressed as the green M&M before that whole green M&M thing?
No, it was
okay.
Like I knew I had to do it. It was like either that weekend or like a couple of days after the green M&M thing.
Gotcha.
I was like, somebody's gonna do it, and I want it, and I want to be one of those girls who does it before the other girls do it.
Gotcha. Because I saw that,
and I don't want to, and I don't want to do it in pads, and I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
There's something about also like I learned, you know, especially being so naked, like showing my body. It's something about like a fat trans body, especially one with stretch marks, especially one with like skin impurities or whatever. Watching me move is really inspirational to people. It really makes people be like, oh, I can do that, and I can feel better about my body. I'm allowed to be that confident, and that's true. We really are. And I can be saying ridiculous stuff there, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm like looking at you and I'm saying whatever, and you're listening.
Yeah.
You know, like it's whatever I'm doing is, I don't know. I don't really know how to really describe what happened with the alleyway videos. It's just more like people with bigger followings started finding them and retweeting them. You know what I mean?
And that's all it's about, bitch. If people that have those followers and that reach can retweet you and share you, yes, ma'am.
And I think it was, and it kind of in part of, from this summer, a lot of people locally were bringing in kind of bigger names from outside of the city, which I think is always a great idea if you're trying to put your city more on the map, because that is definitely what was happening. Is I was meeting these people who were, you know, big in Chicago, big in Florida, or big in the world, but I mean like from Chicago or from Florida.
Yeah.
Leaders in their own scenes, and then technically on the internet. And then they had access, and they were like, they wouldn't have found me probably otherwise, because, you know, no one knows how the algorithm works. Like we think we do until I just stopped using hashtags. I'm at a point where I'm not using hashtags on Instagram. I mean, on Twitter, who you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm so frustrated. So what I do now is I still use hashtags, but like I'll put them in the comment. I'll put them in the comments. Like I won't put them in the caption.
Do you get seeds the post when you do that?
Because I was, you know, I try to look up, like, you know.
Okay, what the tea is. It changes tips. Like every month. That's the thing.
Yeah, because like, but basically now hashtags don't mean a motherfucking thing. Hashtags don't matter on Instagram.
Like they said it or something. Like they stated it. They were like, you're done. What's done?
But like my thing is like, okay, like for like the hashtags, like the hashtags work. Like if the content's already good, the hashtags will help. So,
because if you follow a hashtag, it happens.
So I'll just put them in the comments. So like the post and the caption will draw you in, and then below the hashtags
are more for categorization.
Yes.
No, I understand.
Yeah. That's my PR and advertising degree going to work, ladies. Yes.
Okay, slurp up that info and data, girlies.
Yes.
Okay, slurp up that advice here. We need to talk about it. So yeah, for me, I've kind of realized like Instagram is where I will cry on my Instagram story and thank people for coming to my shows, encourage them to come to my shows, build that kind of like more intimate connection with them, post cringe TikToks that I like, mention my friends on my story. A lot of the stuff I do on my Instagram is on my story. And then everything that's in the, like everything that I post regularly is just stuff that I like. unless it's something I really want to like announce, like a show or like my MTCS t-shirts that I'm selling, which I still haven't made a really great like photo op promo for.
So what is MTCS for the people that don't know?
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So let's talk about that. So
Yes.
MTCS stands for Moderate Tavere Severity. It's something that's really important to keep track of, because if you never keep track of it, you don't really know how pussy you could really even be. And it's something I talk about in one of my videos, and kind of the one that it did go, not kind of, it's the one that did go, you know, the most viral. It's sitting at around, it's my pinned tweet right now, because I'm like, why not make it my pinned tweet?
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
And it's sitting at, I think, over 70,000 views right now. The last time I checked, it was definitely at 70,000.
Let me look.
And okay, as of Easter Sunday,
Hello.
April 17th, it's on Twitter. On Twitter, my Twitter handle is Lil Dick Legend. LILDICK Legend. Yeah.
I was spelling it LITT. I was like, ooh.
Well, no, that's great, because that is my drag name. It's Little Piece, LITT.
Yes.
And if you're looking for my music, well, you could go to my link tree, which is always going to be in my bio, which is linktree.com/littleDickLegend. You could also search Little Piece. I'm on any streaming platform, LITTLE space PIECE, to find me in any kind of artist section to stream my music or buy it.
Yes. So as of this, what was it? April 17th, Easter Sunday, 2022.
Should we observe?
Yes, it is at 70.6K views.
Slurp. Okay,
Yes.
that feels amazing.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's really like, it really is nice. And when because I know that like basically like, some really huge accounts retweeted it. Willow Pill quote tweeted it. Hoso Teratoma of Dragula season 4 finalist is, I didn't realize like how much they were gonna like it, and I really appreciate her. Like she really has, like, meeting her was amazing too. Like I met her 2 weeks after she was a huge part of this happening. So now like I don't know, like I think we're friends, but I know we're probably not friends. You know what I mean? Like she has her own life, but I'm like, oh, she's like queen, like like Denali retweeted it, like and that's huge. Like the amount of people that then see it, you know, just grows exponentially. Yeah, I mean, it happened. I say Moderate Tavere Severity in the video, and things kind of really blew up from there. 2 weeks later, it's so funny because I filmed that video and then went to Snatcherella to see my friends. I had just gotten eliminated the week before, so I went to like see my friends in like the lip sync SmackDown like tournament go off. It was so funny. And we're just, I mean, because I don't even think we posted it that like before we left the house. Yeah. So it was just like kind of okay, like it didn't feel that huge. Like actually me and my roommate thought it was, you know, not one of my best. We were not sure how it was even going to do, because I do like keep kind of track of them. Basically, by the end of that weekend that I posted it, Gay Thembo is producing now for a lot of the girls, which I'm so excited for them. Literally was like, I'm making a remix of it. I was like, okay, this is my Alyssa Edwards moment. Like, wow, oh my god, this is my, like, I really was like, this is my Alyssa B Games moment. You know what? It was something like that for me, where I was like, where especially me and my sister, we kind of, and my friends, even my therapist was like, girl, this is kind of expected, mama. Like, yes. And I was like, okay, slurp. No, yeah, I'm so grateful. She recently ended her practice, my therapist, and I have a new one who I think doing good work with as well. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. Like there was a song by that Monday, the song was playing in Chicago at a club. Oh my god. And then by the Friday after, like the next week it was released, and I was flying to Chicago to do a show Friday night, to do a show Saturday night. Well, Saturday night I wasn't booked for it. I replaced Willow Pill, actually, who couldn't make Chicago that day. And Saturday, and then Sunday I did a Sunday social in Chicago, and then Monday I was going to do Gag in Chicago. The show was canceled because there was a spike in COVID that weekend, which was so funny because at a lot of the shows or one of them specifically, they were like, oh, Little Piece, I'm sorry that like we couldn't have had like a bigger crowd for you here. This is, you know, we're having this COVID spike here. And I was like, oh girl, in Philly, this would be like, hello, this is an amazing night in Philly. Yeah, you don't even understand, like. Yeah, and these audiences are tipping. Wow. No, now I would say the culture is getting a lot better in terms of tipping and people attending drag shows, especially as people are getting vaccinated, people are wearing masks inside. If like, but it is constantly getting worse as well. Let's keep that in mind.
Girl, that's a whole conversation.
Yeah, and it's not
of like
I'm a proficient in.
Of a separate, more serious podcast. Yeah.
And next time on a more separate, serious episode,
exactly,
we will be discussing girls wearing those not really masks in the club.
Oh my God, that's a whole other thing.
Pin straps at brunch, baby. Pin straps at brunch.
New song idea.
Okay, that's another thing is I think people are now going to be expecting these kind of like, well, I definitely will not be releasing club bangers, but I've been writing music since before I even knew I wanted to do drag. Like when I was on Sloppy Seconds, like when I was in Brooklyn and I met Big Dipper not in Brooklyn, but like for me, like Big Dipper was the first like queer, like openly queer rapper I listened to a lot, like followed, especially the Body Positivity was a really, gave it for me. And I don't know, it was very interesting because throughout my whole life, like I was like, there's a lot of things where I realized I have just manifested for myself. I was like my sister and I specifically were talking about it when, Gay Thembo made the MTCS remix. And I was like, we always knew something I said, on video would become a meme and would get remixed. This is something we knew would hopefully happen for me one day, because that's also that's kind of the person I am. It's kind of the performer I am. And that's just kind of like, I think I sound kind of cocky saying this, but it's just, I know I'm a good person most of the time. I'm very proud of that. And like, when I used to listen to Sloppy Seconds, especially like during it's one of the podcasts that really helped me like kind of get through working at the beginning of the pandemic, because I was working a lot at this just awful grocery store. I was always like, one day I'll be on Sloppy Seconds, like down, like that's not a question, but a lot of these things, a lot of opportunities that I've seen for myself that have come even already, performing in Chicago, those are things I really never knew could happen if I wasn't on television or in a televised competition. Like, so knowing that stuff is now possible for me, it was really like every time I walk by the TLA here in Philly, I say, okay, one day I'm going to have a show at the TLA. And that's something I said when I was in high school too. Like that was something I said like to myself when I was younger. And now I feel like, okay, if I've been saying that it's definitely going to happen, baby. It's nothing. I said to myself, like, I'm going to have a Young Onyx on one of my songs one day. And you know what? I had Young Onyx on one of my songs on MTCS Extended Remix by Little Piece featuring Young Onyx and Gay Thembo. And it's weird. Like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, before I started doing drag, I like realized I figured before I started doing drag and I knew I was going to do drag, I was like, okay, like the first show I'm going to host and produce, I'm going to call it LaMayo Clinic, like the Mayo Clinic. And that is what me and John Money Trailer Trash did when we produced and hosted our show, LaMayo Clinic in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I don't know, like, and it was great and people really liked it. And it was nominated for Best Monthly Show within a year, within 8 months of it being even a thing, you know? Whatever. Go on. What was your question?
I don't even know anymore. Honestly, like, so you obviously have the viral sensation, but I saw a video of one of your live performances, and I thought it was.
When did you see one of my live performances?
No, not in person. Like, okay. Like on Instagram.
What? Oh my god! All of my live performances on Instagram are so old.
No. I think it was a story or something. It was like last week.
Oh, Slurp. Okay. Recently.
Yeah. Recently, and you did a number, and you had like a live singers sing. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
You describe it, but it was so funny, so good, and just so like I was like, why haven't I thought of that? Why haven't I thought of some other people to do the work for me? And I can just stand there. That is smarter, not harder, everybody. But describe it.
So that show specifically that I was in was the Cutthroat Pageant Preliminaries. Cutthroat is a monthly show in Philadelphia here hosted by Onyx on Dix. And it is a competition where Onyx will book 3 entertainers and they will have, it's not really a competition. Like it is a competition in terms of like that there is a winner, which is really just decided by how many tips you get. And like, it used to be you don't really win anything, but now you win a spot in the cutthroat pageant, which is like, again, this kind of sham pageant that's also just amazing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Onyx basically accumulated 6 winners in this past cycle, and then we were going to do a 6-person pageant, and Taboo couldn't afford it or didn't want to give, I guess, Onyx the budget for it, so Onyx separated it into two groups. And the premise of the show is kind of like, every contestant starts with 150, it's called dollars, or $125, but they're like points. They'll offer the contestants 3 sabotages per like 3 rounds of the competition. Lasts you for 3 numbers, and you bid on these sabotages to give to yourself or other competitors. Okay. And I mean, in the one that I won, in my first number, I had to do a number that was 3 minutes long, and I had to be handcuffed to Buff Chick, who is a performer from Philadelphia, who is the current reigning like cutthroat title holder of like her cycle of whatever. Like, yeah. I had to be handcuffed to her while she was, in full drag during my number. I had to have Sardonyx, who was a competitor of mine and also a friend of mine and also a performer in the Philadelphia drag scene, do my makeup while I was performing. Oh my god! During my number, I had to change my makeup somehow, like change my face somehow. Yeah. And I had to pick up over 200 or around 200 business cards off of the floor of the stage, the floor of the bar, like all around, like the bar. They had to go around the room at Taboo London Sports Bar 2nd floor and collect these in this 3-minute number and I was like, so when I got assigned that, when someone gave me that, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna buy this sabotage of having another arm on me, so they will also. And I don't know, there's some kind of just like, it's a show that really is just absolutely off the wall. Yeah. And I knew that going into it, I could be very much sabotaged to the point where I could have been chained to the floor or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's not the best way to collect tips, especially when you need to have the most tips in your bucket of the 3 contestants. So I said to my roommate, Betty B, who was the singer, who had just won their week of Snatcherella with that number. It was the Hot Honey Rag from... It was All That Jazz into the Hot Honey Rag from the musical Chicago, with our 2 friends, Martine and Quentin. Martine, who is Miss Taboo 2022, actually. Shout out Martine. Okay, I love you, Martine. No, it's pretty rare that I can have Aries friends, so it's love them when they're here. And they did it. They just repeated like that part of their number for me after. So basically, I started the number doing Skyscraper by Demi Lovato, very slow. I like to do that. I like to start with a ballad, start with a slow song, and then just go into like one of my favorite pop songs. And I went into, I did Skyscraper, and then I took off my robe and I like revealed this Fashion Nova 2-piece, this sporty Fashion Nova 2-piece, while I had my little ponytail in. And then I said, like, now performing the iconic Hot Honey Rag, like, please welcome. And I had Biddy come up and sing a kind of version of All That Jazz written about me, as I was just walking around being like, you can tip me, like. And then during the Hot Honey Rag dance part, I layered in my own voice saying like, well, you can still tip me while the sequence is happening, or you could put dollars in the bucket, get it up off your seats. And that was fun. And then we finished that, and then I wanted to keep it just at 5 minutes. I didn't want to really exceed 5 minutes. I didn't ask, but the last time I did the show, the max was 5 minutes for our numbers. So then I ended it, and I like went across the room to like this pole that they have at Taboo, stood up on that, held onto it, and what started playing was Did You Forget? Don't Forget by Demi Lovato. Gotcha. So it was just it was very iconic of me. Yes, I agree. And it was it was very smart of me. And I also incorporated like 3 parts, told a story. I don't know. Well, that's another thing, is I don't want to tell a story when I'm on stage. I want to be the story when I'm on stage. And that's something and by being the story, you tell the story, Yeah, totally. And that's kind of what I think when I'm making mixes or something, especially if I don't want to actually have a lot of, that's what I do in my alleyway videos. They don't make sense. Like, they don't make sense. Why should I when I'm performing? Hello. No, I just, and that's why I love drag. Like, we can do whatever we want. Drag. Yeah, we love drag. Drag is great. I love drag. Heart eye emoji. But yeah, you can do whatever. Like, it's such a creative. It's such a creative. I think outlet. That drag, you can do whatever in drag, but when I'm thinking about like what I'm going to do, I'm thinking, okay, I can do whatever I want as long as it isn't hurting anyone, isn't, contributing to violence, isn't contributing to racism, misogyny, trans misogyny. If I'm doing something that I would not joke about when I'm not in drag, or you know what I mean? If I'm doing something like, if you're in drag, don't do something that like is culturally appropriative, and don't do something that you shouldn't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And white drag performers don't perform culturally Black music. That's kind of the big one. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely a very big one for girls in this city.
Yeah, don't do what is it? Formation. If you're a white.
Very cringe,
And
and again, not in the way that I find appealing. Okay.
And I have seen that before by white performers doing formation in the Beyonce getup.
I recently had a up and coming drag performer apologize to me after a lot of things. I've been getting a lot of apologies recently, which has been nice because I suffered a lot of, very serious bullying and harassment this summer that was mostly because of, some undeserved leadership or people in an undeserving place of power taking advantage of kind of like naive new performers and organizing some bandwagon behavior to try and hurt my career, which really sucked because it was just because I was trying to hold them accountable for their actions. But someone recently, like one of those girls who kind of joined in on that, recently apologized to me and also apologized for not taking my advice seriously when I told her to not perform culturally Black music because she realized doing so affected her reputation. And I was like, okay, maybe just think about what you're going to do before you do it.
Yeah.
Ask people that you see as leaders what they think.
Yeah,
and start listening to them.
Yeah, like if you have to like think like, oh, is this inappropriate? Is this going to offend people? Probably don't do it.
Yeah, if you think it's going to offend somebody, then it's already offending you. You know what I mean? Like if you have the thought, why even push that? What's the point? It's not going to make anyone happy, or it's not gonna. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. Why go out of your way to do something offensive?
Yeah, and it's just like particularly like alternative performers, like sometimes I guess I'll talk about like more specifically like DMV, my scene.
Mm-hmm.
Some performers will just like go out there and offend to just like perform just to offend or just to shock, like shock to shock, you know what I'm saying? Like do something that's crazy with kind of no like story, just do something, and I think we need to probably get away from that, or definitely get away from that.
Completely. I found that to be, in my experience, or at least in the Philadelphia drag scene, a lot of the more safe spaces are ones that are filled with alternative performers and filled with alternative, like community members. I find that the most unsafe places, the most unsafe kind of shows and leadership to be around are ones who absolutely would not consider themselves alternative.
Yeah.
And will let you know that you are alternative.
Yeah.
For being very socially minded and caring about other people and your impact.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And backwards, absolutely backwards.
Definitely. It's interesting. Yeah.
That's why I highly recommend coming to Snatcherella 3000 Wednesdays. Actually, any Wednesday at Frankie Broadley's, you should be able to see a great show, hosted by talented queer nightlife entertainers.
Yeah,
and filled with.
Yeah, so that is a good, transition to a plug for myself. I will be
Slurp.
Yes, I will be in Philadelphia, May 19th and the 20th.
Okay, Slurp.
Yes, I will be 19th at Evil Genius Brewing Company for a drag bingo, and then I will be at Taboo for Moon Baby's show.
Actually, that has not been announced yet, so you might want to. Yeah.
Ooh. I will not
leave the date, but I don't know if she'll want you to say that.
May 20th at Taboo.
Okay, yeah, May 20th at Taboo. I didn't even know that was happening.
Yes, May 20th, Taboo. May 19th.
Leak.
Hello. May 19th at Evil Genius Brewing, and then May 20th at Taboo. But maybe whenever this fucking episode comes out,
that'll be over.
Don't
say that because I'm gonna plug some stuff too later.
So I want to. We're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna go to the last.
No, the whole thing. I have done so many notes. Been touched on my notes.
Little P studied for this. She did practice tests for this podcast.
Really no, I slurped and slayed. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna go to the last section which is now titled Let's Rave About It.
Oh my God.
So what is something you're talking about, you're raving about, you want people to hear, you want people to see, you want people to experience?
Okay, so that's actually a great thing because something I can never stop talking about is myself. Okay. I was thinking about this a lot because I was like, what am I gabbing and gooping about right now? But it really is just me. Like you give me an opportunity and I will talk about myself, baby. If it's not about me, I'm not interested. Okay. No, but in all seriousness, like, because this is also something I put down. This was going to be my whatever. I've been having a lot of moments recently where it's like, oh my God, this is my life right now. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I am the local girl that I am in many ways the local girl I wanted to be when I started doing drag. I'm like seeing myself set an example. I'm seeing myself become a role model. And that is for me like a very inspiring thing, is almost like a reminder to keep going. This experience that has happened for me where like my audience has grown, you know, I just produced my first ever show on a Friday. In all the years of me doing drag, I'd never produced a show on a Friday, I realized. And me and Ms. Peaches had Hannah Montana versus Miley Cyrus. And I've known Ms. Peaches, I mean, we met at an open stage that we did a lot 4 years ago. So even like literally like, well, it's going to be 4 years, I guess, in July or August, because that's when I started doing drag. But I don't know, like we became pretty fast friends and we realized we both love Hannah Montana and we talked about doing this show. Like we've talked about doing Hannah versus Miley for so long. And then we were like, it's time, let's do it. And then we did it and we got there and we had already sold enough tickets to make sure we could pay everyone. And I was like, okay, we hit exactly what we needed to hit. Like, this is amazing. I was so gagged. The crowd was great. Like they knew the word. I mean, it was Hannah Montana versus Miley Cyrus, but it just made me realize like, okay, like this is something I'm good at. This is something I can do. This is something I can bring people into. I was a little nervous that, you know, and I think as many people are, every time something kind of has a boom, that like Alleyway Wednesday at Frankie Bradley's, which I will come back in this natural off season, you know, kind of like not a one-time thing because I had it twice, but like this kind of just like blip in my virality. But no, I really have this hold. Peacekeepers did come, and to all peacekeepers who are listening, thank you so much. Thank you, every single one of you who came. Like every single one of you who spoke to me and said, hi, I love you, or like, hi, thank you for putting on this show. Hi, I can't wait to see you tonight. I've been following you on Twitter. I've been following you on Instagram for so long. That means a lot to me. And it is something I will not stop talking about. You know, it's something I like we need to talk about. I don't know, that this kind of like community of fans that has come out of this for me, as well as, and that I can then like, and this new kind of more grand platform that I can use to shed light on other people in my community is amazing. Like Peaches and I are going to do another show at Frankie Bradley soon. We don't have the date yet, but we're planning on doing a High School Musical show there. We have a cast full of different people from the last show. And like, that is an opportunity we have now. It's like, we get to put on the show that we know people are going to come to. We get to spotlight people that we love and we think are going to, you know, really make an impact and do great work on stage. I don't know, like, Alleyway Wednesday's coming back. I'm doing this new kind of format of a show, and 9 days now, actually, at the Painted Mug, a new venue here in Philadelphia called Dr. Lil, which is going to be kind of like Jerry Springer, Dr. Phil talk show. I've been doing some research on how to make that happen. And and that has Vinchelle and Paula Jean White at it, which I'm so glad I could get them. I had to really like, I was like making things work for it. I was like, it's gonna be on a Tuesday. We're gonna have this budget. Like and I was a little nervous because I was like, okay, do you think people are gonna come to that? It's at a, you know, a venue that doesn't sell alcohol. There's like there are mocktails. It's a sober venue. We were sitting down. It's kind of like it's really cute. It's very theatrical. It's a very like theater space. It feels
I love that. Yeah.
It feels very like new, raw, and refreshing. There's a whole nother vibe than like what you would get if you're like at, you know, some kind of like if you're at what Miss Peaches and I did on Friday. You know, I'm not there to be like, I'm not there to sell drinks, sell the show. I'm there to like host this theatrical experience with me and two other drag performers that I'm obsessed with. I don't know. There's something about that. Like what I am raving about constantly is Philadelphia drag, is the Philadelphia drag scene, is the Philadelphia alternative drag scene, and kind of the direction we're going there and taking. I think if you're truly like, if you're a transgender performer specifically that feels, like misrepresented or not very heard in your scene, like, I'm not saying like move to Philly, but like if you're free on a Wednesday and don't need to go to work on Thursday until later in the day, like I would say drive into Philly for a Wednesday night, see something at Frankie Bradley's, because that there's no doubt there that you will not feel like safe, accepted, and welcomed into the city. Or any show I'm at, baby.
So before the pandemic, in February 2020, I did not Dr. Phil, I did like a Jerry Springer Maury show. It was called Who's Your Baby Daddy? And we had I had someone be the host. We had this whole, like, it wasn't like scripted, like, but it was like we had an outline.
Yes, no, mine is an outline. Like I'm outlining it. It's gonna be, I'm gonna start the show. I'm gonna like do a number, explain how I want the audience to interact with us.
Yeah.
I am going to bring in my first guest. I'm gonna bring in probably Vinchel. Vinchel's gonna do a number. Vinchel's gonna sit down and talk, and I'm like, so I heard you have a problem with Miss Paula Deen White. Could you tell me more about that? And we're gonna kind of like hit some points that I'm gonna predetermine over the next week, over like this kind of like conflict that they're gonna have. And we're gonna improvise this. It's gonna be like a really cool improv experience that's still gonna have drag numbers throughout the show, but it is going to be centered around this like through line of like silly, absurd drama that doesn't make sense, but also will make entirely, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of just what I do.
Exactly. No, I love it. I definitely want to do more stuff like that, because that's just like I love talking shit. I love, because I have not to be like pretentious, but I have like a background in theater. That's my minor in college. So
okay, I was in a Western Pest Services commercial when I was a child, so I can relate.
So she is SAG. She has.
Oh, it was just one. It was one gig, mama.
That's so funny. That's so funny. But like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's great. So regardless of when this podcast comes out, when is it, or when was
yes
that
so
show?
When is or was, I mean, I also have the date for my next one too. Currently my new show Dr. Lil is coming to the Painted Mug. Again, that's a new venue in Philadelphia, PA. You can find them on Instagram at the Painted Mug Cafe, and even if you just Google the Painted Mug, it should come up. And that is going to be the last Tuesday of the next 2 months, so April 26th and May 31st. And this month we'll have Vinchel and Paula Deen White as our guests. And May 31st, again, the last Tuesday in May, we'll have Avery Goodname and Illyria Everlasting. Again, the two new performers that I'm obsessed with. May 1st, if this comes out before May 1st, I will be at brunch at Strange Loves. And then this is a big one. I don't have any of the like upcoming dates confirmed for, my next Alleyway Wednesdays or my shows with Miss Peaches, but which we haven't exactly named, but we're thinking Peace Pit Productions. Okay.
Yes.
The PPP. My birthday show, which is on a Wednesday this year. So we're doing like an Alleyway Wednesday special Alleyway pageant. It's going to be this July 20th. It's far ahead, but mark your calendars. Tickets will obviously be available online. I don't know when. It's again far ahead in the future. But I do have the 5 contestants cast, and the judges. I know it's literally like this is meant to be. It's going to be a really fun experience. I'm going to host a night that again will be my birthday.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be giving 5 people who I know like to be peacekeepers, who I want to see performing more in the scene, like get to be on stage and show themselves. And I'm having like 3 of my friends just give, and I was like, when I was talking to them about it, I was like, I want you to just give them compliments. I want you to give them like some really useful advice, and I want you to make them feel really good. And that's what I want. Like, I just want to like have a really fucking fun night where everyone gets to be like celebrated. And that's like all I could ask for my birthday.
Yes, I love that.
And stream MTCS.
Yeah, stream that. And then one more plug. Where can they find you on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook?
Okay, of course. Okay, my name is Little Peace. You can find me on Instagram at Little Dick Legend. That's LITTLEDICK Legend. On Twitter, you can find me at Lil Dick Legend due to character constraints. Clearly, I don't have many of those, but that is LILDICK Legend. You can find other links to, my Cameo, show ticket links, music links, so links directly to my artist profile on streaming platforms, or my last two singles, MTCS Gay Dembo Remix and MTCS Extended Remix featuring Gay Dembo and Young Onyx at linktree.com/LittleDickLegend. That's linktree.com/LITTLEDICK legend.
Yes.
This has been Little Peace.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Yes, I am Pariah Sinclair. You can find me everywhere at Pariah Sinclair. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Venmo, Cash App.
Oh yeah, my Venmo and my Cash App are also littleDickLegend@gmail.com. I highly recommend sending me money. It'd be really nice. Again, LITTLEDICK legend on Cash App and on Venmo.
Yes.
I will not give you the last four by phone number. You'll recognize the
yes. Pay without confirming, bitch. Okay. Yeah. So I'm. Thank you again for being here on this lovely Sunday. Thank you for everyone for listening.
Yes.
Have a good...
and please, I'm traveling a little in June already. Like I already have that confirmed. So if anyone is listening and you are in a different city than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and want me to let me come to you, if you will, please reach out. We will figure it out. I want to be performing more. I want to be spreading the gospel of MTCS more. And if you want me to come to your city, literally just ask a bar if they're interested in having me, because that is... or ask a producer who brings people from out of town if they want to bring in Little Piece, because sometimes that's all it takes is telling somebody that I will come to your bar and I will buy drinks at whatever venue you are hosting this event at if you bring Little Piece there, and I will bring friends. Like that is enough. Telling someone you'll spend money on something is reason enough for them to do it.
Yeah, after we stop recording, I will talk to you about coming to Baltimore.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
Because I know Baltimore would love to have you.
Oh, I'd love to go to Baltimore. I know there's peacekeepers in Baltimore too, so
yeah, that's so cute. Baltimore is crazy. I love Baltimore. Baltimore is very interesting. Yeah.
I've heard the girls are really like they're doing it for their own there. Like you're really like you make your own shows. Like
150,000%, bitch.
That's very interesting to me and something I'm again learning about and trying to kind of figure out how to kind of approach a bar that is not necessarily a queer space. Say, hey, like I know I can like bring this event to your space and I know it will be good for you, but I don't even, I'm like, you know what I mean? There's something that's...
Yeah, we'll talk about it, because it's funny because people like literally DM me about that. Like, oh, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? I'm like, baby, I got you. Well, yeah. Because it's like I know I need to throw numbers at them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we'll leave this podcast with this. If you want to know how to bring a show to a straight venue, email me at pariahsinclair.com. pariahsinclair@gmail.com, and I will teach you how to get that straight money. All right. Thank you, Little Piece. Thank you all for listening. Yes, have a good day. Have a good night. Good.
Yes. Bye.